In this video, I'm about to show you the 10 US Mexican food brands you need to avoid at all costs and the 5 you should actually be buying instead. Starting with number 10, Taco Bell grocery line. Taco Bell sells the idea of Mexican food always has, but their grocery line, the salsas, taco kits, seasoning packets, takes that idea and strips it down to the cheapest possible version of itself. Their mild sauce from the grocery store contains water, tomato puree, jalapeno puree, vinegar, salt, and then here's where it goes sideways: modified food starch, xanthan gum, natural flavors, and sodium benzoate as a preservative. Sodium benzoate has been flagged by the Center for Science in the Public Interest as a preservative that, when combined with ascorbic acid, can form benzene, a known carcinogen. Is the amount small? Yes. Should it be in your salsa at all? Absolutely not. Their taco seasoning packets contain maltodextrin, a cheap filler derived from corn that spikes blood sugar faster than table sugar, as one of the top ingredients. The whole grocery line is built on the back of brand recognition, not food quality. You're paying for the bell, not the ingredients. And that's the oldest trick in the book. Number 9. Chi-Chi's salsa. Chi-Chi's has one of the most tragic stories in American restaurant history. They were a major Mexican restaurant chain that went bankrupt in 2004 after a hepatitis A outbreak linked to contaminated green onions at one of their Pennsylvania locations. That outbreak infected over 600 people and killed 4. The restaurant chain is gone. But the grocery brand survived, licensed out, and kept selling on name recognition alone. The salsa is made by Hormel. Yes, the Spam company, and the quality reflects that partnership. Chi-Chi's salsa is primarily water, tomatoes, green peppers, onions, and then a long list of stabilizers and preservatives including calcium chloride, citric acid, and sodium benzoate. The texture is thin, almost watery, and the flavor is flat because the vegetables aren't roasted or reduced, they're just dumped in and preserved. For a brand that survived on its name after one of the worst food safety events in US restaurant history, you'd think they'd earn back trust by making something exceptional. Instead, they make something cheap. That's the part that frustrates me most about how these companies operate. Number 8. Old El Paso. Old El Paso is owned by General Mills, a corporation with $18.8 billion in annual revenue, and yet somehow their Mexican food line tastes like it was designed in a focus group by people who have never eaten actual Mexican food. Their flour tortillas contain enriched bleached flour, water, vegetable shortening, which can include partially hydrogenated oils depending on the production run, and a preservative cocktail, including fumaric acid and calcium propionate. Calcium propionate is an antifungal preservative linked in a 2018 study published in PLOS One to behavioral changes and sleep disruption in children. Their taco seasoning contains silicon dioxide as an anti-caking agent that's essentially edible sand, and the cheese in their taco kits contains processed cheese product, not real cheese. General Mills spent over $600 million on advertising in fiscal year 2023. They spent that on making you think Old El Paso is Mexican food. It's not. It's a budget food product wearing a sombrero. Number 7. Ortega. Ortega has been around since 1897, one of the oldest Mexican food brands in America, and they've spent over a century quietly becoming one of the most additive-heavy names on the shelf. Their taco shells, the ones in the bright yellow box, are fried in a blend of vegetable oils that typically includes soybean oil and corn oil, both of which are high in omega-6 fatty acids. The ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 inches the average American diet is already dangerously out of balance nutrition. Researchers at the University of Maryland have noted the ideal ratio should be around 4:1. But most Americans are consuming closer to 2:0:1, thanks largely to industrial seed oils. Their taco sauce contains yellow 6, a synthetic dye derived from petroleum. The FDA has allowed it, but the European Food Safety Authority requires warning labels on products containing yellow 6 because of links to hyperactivity in children. Over here, no warning, just color. Ortega leans on that century-long history to make you trust them. But being old doesn't mean being honest. Number 6. Pace Salsa. Pace was founded in San Antonio in 1947, and for a long time it was a legitimate regional product. Then Campbell's Soup Company bought it in 1994 for $1.1 billion. That's when things changed. Today, Pace Salsa is produced at scale in Paris, Texas, and uses high fructose corn syrup in several of its flavored varieties, including their chunky garlic salsa. High fructose corn syrup in salsa. Let that sink in. Salsa is one of the simplest foods on the planet: tomatoes, peppers, onion, garlic, salt. That's it. The fact that a major brand is adding high fructose corn syrup tells you exactly what their priority is. Sweetness drives repeat purchase, and repeat purchase drives revenue. Your health has nothing to do with it. A 2023 nutritional comparison by Healthline ranked Pace among the higher sodium salsas on the market at 230 milligrams per 2 tablespoon serving. 2 tablespoons. Most people use 4 to 6 tablespoons. You're doing the math, and Campbell's is hoping you don't. Number 5. Mission Foods tortillas. Mission is the largest tortilla brand in the United States. They control roughly 35% of the U.S. tortilla market, according to data from IBIS World, and that dominance is exactly the problem. When one company controls that much of a market, there's no real pressure to make something good. There's only pressure to make something cheap. Mission flour tortillas contain enriched flour, water, vegetable shortening, and a preservative list that includes calcium propionate and sorbic acid. Their carb balance line contains chicory root fiber, which sounds healthy until you realize it's primarily there as a bulking agent to reduce calorie count on paper while the texture and flavor suffer. Mission also uses L-cysteine, an amino acid sometimes derived from human hair or duck feathers, as a dough conditioner. It's technically FDA approved. It's also the kind of thing you find out about and can never unknow. You've been eating Mission tortillas for years thinking it was just flour and water. It wasn't just flour and water. Number 4. Don Miguel Foods. Don Miguel is one of those brands you see in the frozen food aisle: burritos, taquitos, enchiladas, always on sale, always in a big box, always looking like a deal. And the people buying them are usually the same people trying to stretch $1, feed a family, and get through the week. I understand that. But here's what Don Miguel doesn't advertise. Their frozen burritos contain textured soy protein, also called TSP, as a primary protein source in the meat filling. Textured soy protein is made from defatted soy flour, a byproduct of soybean oil production. It's cheap. It's very cheap. And it's processed at high temperatures in a way that can reduce the nutritional value of what little protein is actually there. Their taquitos have been flagged in consumer reviews repeatedly for inconsistent filling. Some bites are mostly dough, others are mostly filler. The sodium content in a single Don Miguel burrito can hit 700 milligrams, nearly 30% of the daily recommended limit in one item. These are the kinds of brands that target people with limited budgets and deliver the minimum amount of food required to keep you buying. That's not a deal, that's a trap. Number 3. Holy Guacamole. Holy Guacamole markets itself as fresh, real, and convenient. The green packaging, the avocado imagery, the made with real Hass avocados tagline. But they are owned by Kraft Heinz, one of the largest food corporations in the world, and the product reflects that ownership. To extend shelf life, Holy Guacamole uses a high-pressure processing technique, HPP, which is not inherently bad, but when combined with added ingredients, including water, jalapeno pepper puree, and citric acid, the texture and flavor diverge significantly from fresh guacamole. Consumer taste comparisons by The Kitchen and America's Test Kitchen have consistently rated fresh or store-made guacamole above Holy for texture and flavor authenticity. More concerning is the water content. Water is listed as a top ingredient, which means you are literally paying avocado prices for diluted avocado. A 1 4-ounce container retails for around $6 to $7. At that price, you can buy 2 ripe Hass avocados, a lime, some salt, and make something significantly better in 5 minutes. But Kraft Heinz is counting on you not realizing that. They're counting on you grabbing the green package because it looks trustworthy. Don't fall for it. Number 2, Goya Foods Mexican line. Goya is complicated, and I want to be fair here. Their core Caribbean and Latin product lines, sofrito, adobo, some of their canned beans have loyal followings for good reason. But their specifically marketed Mexican line, the taco seasonings, enchilada sauces, and rice mixes, is a different story. Goya's taco seasoning contains monosodium glutamate MSG as a primary flavor enhancer, along with silicon dioxide, and the sodium content per packet is high enough that using a full packet on 1 pound of meat pushes a single taco to over 300 milligrams of sodium before any toppings. Their canned enchilada sauce uses modified cornstarch as a thickener and soybean oil, and the chili content is low enough that the heat comes primarily from cayenne extract rather than actual dried chilies. In 2020, Goya faced a significant consumer backlash and boycott movement that temporarily affected sales. Their revenue dipped in certain retail channels for 2 quarters following the controversy. Some of their lines are genuinely good. Their Mexican-specific line is not one of them. Same company, very different standards depending on what shelf you're looking at. Number 1. Kraft Mexican Cheese Blend. The number 1 spot goes to Kraft, and here's why. Because nobody in the Mexican food aisle has the nerve to call a product Mexican cheese and then fill it with as many non-cheese additives as Kraft does. Kraft Mexican-style 4 cheese blend contains natamycin, an antifungal preservative derived from fermentation to prevent mold. It also contains powdered cellulose, which is literally wood pulp used to prevent the shredded cheese from clumping together. Powdered cellulose is FDA approved. It's also not cheese. You are paying for a product that is part cheese and part wood pulp, marketed as a celebration of Mexican cuisine. In a 2022 investigation by Food and Water Watch, Kraft Heinz's manufacturing practices came under scrutiny for how aggressively they cut production costs following their 2015 merger. Their dairy sourcing has been linked to factory farms with documented welfare and contamination issues, and the sodium in a quarter-cup serving of Kraft Mexican blend is 200 milligrams before you add taco meat, salsa, sour cream, or anything else. If there's one takeaway from this entire video, let it be this. Real Mexican cheese, tortilla, queso fresco, Oaxacan string cheese is sold at almost every major U.S. grocery store. It costs about the same. It has 2 or 3 ingredients. It tastes like actual food. Stop buying the wood pulp blend. You deserve better. Now that you know which brands to leave on the shelf, here are the 5 that are actually worth your money. Number 5, Herdez Salsa. Let me tell you something. Herdez has been around since 1914, over 100 years, and they are still doing it right. That alone tells you something in a world where every big corporation is cutting corners the second the stock price wobbles. Herdez Salsa is made with simple, real ingredients. Tomatoes, chili peppers, onions, salt. That's it. No gums, no thickeners, no natural flavors, hiding a science experiment behind a friendly label. In independent taste tests run by places like Serious Eats and Consumer Reports, Herdez consistently outranks brands that spend 10 times more on marketing. A 1 6-ounce jar runs you about $2 to $3 at most major retailers, Walmart, Target, Kroger, and it delivers actual flavor that doesn't taste like it was engineered in a lab. The sodium content sits around 230 milligrams per serving, which is reasonable compared to competitors that push 400 plus per serving. If you've been grabbing whatever's on sale at eye level, start grabbing Herdez instead. It's honest food at an honest price. That's getting harder to find these days. Number 4, Xochitl tortilla chips. Xochitl, and yes, you say it. Xochitl is the kind of brand that doesn't advertise much because they don't need to. Word of mouth does the job when your product is actually good. These chips are made with non-GMO white corn, expeller-pressed sunflower oil, and sea salt. 3 ingredients. 3! Compare that to some of the chips we're going to talk about later in this video, and the difference will make your jaw drop. Xochitl chips are stone ground, which preserves more of the natural corn flavor, and they're cooked in a way that gives you that real crunch, not the hollow, air-puffed crunch that falls apart the second it hits salsa. An independent nutrition analysis found these chips have no artificial preservatives, no added colors, and no partially hydrogenated oils. A bag runs about $4 to $5, which sounds like more, but when you factor in that you're not eating corn flour, seed oil, and a list of additives, it's worth it. A lot of us grew up being told to watch our money, And I get that. But sometimes spending a little more on the right things saves you more in the long run. Your gut will thank you. Number 3. La Preferida. La Preferida has been a family-owned brand since 1949 out of Chicago, and they've spent over 70 years trying to get Latin American pantry staples right for the American market. Their canned beans, black beans, pinto beans, refried beans are some of the cleanest canned products you'll find at a regular grocery store. The ingredient list on their refried beans reads, cooked pinto beans, water, lard, salt, no soy isolates, no added gums, no flavor enhancers that are really just MSG with a fancier name. Their black beans test at around 7 grams of protein and 6 grams of fiber per half cup serving, which is genuinely good nutrition. And the price point is fair, typically under $2 for a 1 5-ounce can. What I appreciate about La Preferida is that they haven't tried to modernize their products by stripping out the traditional fats and replacing them with cheap industrial alternatives. Lard gets a bad reputation, but traditional lard from properly raised pigs is nutritionally very different from hydrogenated vegetable shortening. This is a brand that respects the food. And in 2024, they expanded their organic line, which means they're going in the right direction, while a lot of others are going the wrong way. Number 2, Frontera Foods. Rick Bayless started Frontera in 1996, after years of living and cooking in Mexico. Not visiting, actually living there, studying regional cuisine. That background matters because you can taste it. Frontera salsas and cooking sauces are built around authentic regional Mexican flavor profiles. Veracruz, Guacamole, tomatillo, not the generic red tomato paste that gets slapped on a label and called Mexican. The ingredients in their salsas are sourced with attention to origin. Their red chile enchilada sauce, for example, uses ancho and guajillo chiles roasted and pureed into a base that actually tastes like something. In a 2022 survey by the National Restaurant Association's Consumer Panel, Frontera was cited by culinary professionals as the leading retail Mexican sauce brand for flavor complexity. Yes, it costs more, around $5 to $6 per jar, but if you've been wasting money on sauces that taste like sugar water with chili powder stirred in, this is where your grocery dollar actually does something. Big corporations don't want you to find brands like Frontera, because when you do, you stop buying their watered-down garbage. Simple as that. Number 1. Siete Family Foods. Siete started in 2014 when a family in Laredo, Texas was trying to find grain-free alternatives to traditional Mexican foods because several family members had autoimmune conditions that required dietary changes. They weren't trying to build a brand, they were trying to eat. What came out of that is now one of the most respected, better-for-you Mexican food companies in the country. Their almond flour tortillas, cassava tortillas, and grain-free chips have been praised by nutritionists, dietitians, and more importantly, by real people who actually eat them and feel better for it. Siete uses avocado oil in their chips instead of the cheap inflammatory seed oils that dominate the snack aisle. Their cassava and coconut flour tortillas have no gluten, no grains, no artificial anything. In 2024, PepsiCo acquired Siete for around $1.2 billion. And look, that news made a lot of people nervous, including me, but as of now, the formulas haven't changed. I'd keep an eye on it. But right now, Siete still earns the number 1 spot. They built something real for real people with real health concerns, and that deserves recognition. Find them at Target, Whole Foods, Walmart, and most major grocery stores. They're worth it.